I'm here on Kakawa Street on Lagos Island, and I must tell you that it's just barely a week since the last building collapsed on Lagos Island, where we had about three-story building collapsing and killing some students and some residents. This is Kakawa Street, and it's a two-story building. We do understand that occupants of this building have been exiting the building for about 2 weeks now. Some told us that some started exiting last week Friday when the building was marked for demolition by the Lagos State Building Control Agency. And right now we've been able to speak with LASEMA, the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, who has told us that no one is trapped in the building, although they've said they weren't going to speak on camera, but they've told us that no one is trapped in the building. The only thing we've noticed here is that some persons were hurt, some were injured, and an eyewitness told us that some have been taken to the hospital because while they were trying to salvage some of their property from the building that caved in, the building actually caved in on them while they were trying to salvage some of their property. And I'm here with the general manager of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, Mr. Olale Koshodende, who will be telling us perhaps they have a reason or they know why this building has caved in now. Mr. Olale, you've been at this site before we came in. Can you tell us what you know about the building that just collapsed?
Thank you very much. Well, the building is one of those that had been earlier marked some few years ago. That is part of the ones we're doing. And we actually intended, well, we're doing a few of the buildings in Lagos, not just Lagos, all over the state. But we're still on the island for now. We're doing about 17 buildings as I'm talking to you. So in the process of doing all the removal, we came last week to this particular one to, ascertain the status again that it is still vacant for us to move in when we conclude with the 17 we're doing. So when we came, the building was still virtually vacant from when it was initially marked, unlike the one that collapsed at Itafaji that was reoccupied after it was marked. But it was vacant. So with the hope that we'll come here for the next batch. But unfortunately today, we learned that the building now collapsed under its own weight.
What did the agency find out about this building before it was marked for demolition? Because we could hear some eyewitness tell us that the substandard materials were used to build this particular structure.
Well, it's obvious. Well, substandard materials is relative. What I can say is that the reinforcement that we see in the debris being evacuated behind us shows that the reinforcement is not adequate to carry such a structure. We're seeing basically small size reinforcement being used. So that, because if you look at it, this is more of a superstructure collapse, unlike the Itafaji one that actually sank. The Itafaji collapse is actually a substructural failure. So the building actually went into the ground. But this one you can see that most of the structures, the debris are oversight, and their superstructure is still very much above the foundation. By the time we finish this removal, you'll be able to see the foundation and the German floor still intact. So obviously, reinforcement of the construction of the superstructure is the one that actually is faulty here. So the man is, like I was telling some people that the onlooker engineer is actually saying the right thing. That when this building was being constructed, they had used substandard reinforcement for the construction.
Okay, the agency had told us that 80 buildings will be going down on the island. We understand that you've already started demolishing, which we've monitored for a few days now. But I want to understand if this activity is still going on, the demolition is still going on.
Well, I need to correct the figure you're giving. We were not demolishing 80 buildings on the island. At the last press interview, when the committee on the Itafaji collapse was inaugurated, the commissioner cleared the air. We were doing 45 structures in the state. We're doing 45 structures in the state, not just Lagos Island, in this space. But we are going into our records that which buildings had earlier been identified. Even if they had been renovated, we need to revisit them. Because one of the Itafaji was identified earlier, but because it wasn't removed as at then, the developer did some photo finish to the building. So any recent monitoring exercise wouldn't identify it. But we don't want that to disturb our operation. So we're going through the records, identifying any building at all that had ever been served or marked on the island or all over the state. We're revisiting those properties to know the present status. Even if renovated, had it been done following due process? So we need to do all this. So we're not doing 80, but for this phase we do just about 45. But not just on Lagos Island, all over the state.
Thank you very much. That's Mr. Olalekan Sodende, the General Manager of the Lagos State Building Control Agency. We are still monitoring events here, as you can see behind me. The excavator is already bringing down the structure all by itself to flatten the sides. We'll come back to you as we gather more information.